Today I'll be installing some sheet vinyl flooring in a bath, and no matter what type of flooring you're installing, I find it easiest to remove the toilet. If you can remove the baseboard, it makes it just that more easy. The vanity can stay in place. However, in my case, I removed the vanity. I've purchased a new one. If you want to go that route, remove the supply lines, drain hookup, couple mounting screws in the vanity itself, and then it should pull straight out. Turn the water supply line off. Push and hold down until fully empty. That drains the tank as low as you can get it. However, the bowl still has a good amount of water. So you get you a bucket of water and quickly dump all of it. Now you have minimal water to deal with. Right here at the base we have a nut. This one happens to be 1/2 inch. Loosens right up nicely. You usually don't get that lucky. Let me show a few other ways to remove that if it spins or it's rusted. The main tool I used in the past, reciprocating saw. You get right on there like that, cut that bolt off. Sometimes you got to put a pair of vice grips on here to hold it still. And then this newer tool came on the market. It's a little bit easier. You still put vice grips on the end, cut that right off. Or you just use a handheld hacksaw. All right. Same to the other side. At the base of the toilet, you want to drop a towel, catch water. Next, we'll remove the supply line, lefty-loosey. This is where you get some water. Some people install that towel in the bathtub. Leave that to your discrepancy. Right here is a good equilibrium in weight distribution. And we want to keep it level so the water doesn't come out the bottom. The towel catches any water and that nasty wax ring on the bottom. However, we need to get to the bottom to clean that wax ring off. And there's a little bit of water remaining in here. And if you want to remove that, just tip the toilet backwards and it drains right out. Now we can roll it. There's also some water in here. You can dab that out with the towel. This is a pretty nice setup. You can grab the bottom of the towel and drag it out to another room. Say goodbye. This wax ring looks relatively new. It's uniform, in nice shape. It's not squished down very much. So to remove it, pair of gloves. Get underneath that rubber, right there. And then a bag. And then you get some towels to clean up the rest. Now these bolts are in good shape, so we can reuse that. All this needs is a new wax ring. So I'd like to point out the flooring height and the flange. This is set a little bit lower than this flooring, and you can get away with that. Normally, you want it flush with the flooring. As you can see, it's that much. That's not enough to worry about. I'll get a regular wax ring, the same thickness that came off, and I'm only putting sheet flooring down, sheet vinyl. So that's very thin. However, if you were putting vinyl plank or tile in here, then you'd have to put an adapter in here to raise it up or use an extra thick, double thick wax ring. It's best to be as flush as possible. To get the remaining silicone off this area, I use the drywall knife, and then I scrape the entire floor, any high spots, and then I swept and vacuumed the entire floor, because if you get a nick of anything underneath the sheet vinyl, it'll show through. I purchased the vinyl flooring at Home Depot, but generally speaking, sheet vinyl comes in 12-foot width and then whatever length you want. So I just measured a little wider than the room, and I'm going to utilize the factory edge on this wall, and then I'll have some cutting to do over here, and all you need is a sharp knife. So 12 foot that way. So I measured and just cut it a little bit long so it'll hang out the door. You gotta get the door out of the way. I removed this from the wall so I can go right underneath. So I've got it tight on both walls. Got some wrinkles here. I don't know how I'm going to show this because the bathroom's so small and I need to shut that door. I guess I'll pull this back. Close the door. I feel like I'm in trouble. So when you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be doing a lot of cutting. And hope you made the right cut. I have no clue how to do this. I've done it before. I can't do it now. So, if this is straight, like that, wow, I tell you what, I don't know. I'm just gonna start cutting. Following this line here. And then use the tub as a straight edge. Now I have a lot of wrinkles behind me, so I'll probably have to cut it again. So I'll get it tight in there, like such. Lay my knife flat and cut it. Let's see what happens. So here's a technique if you need to go that way. 1 foot here, one there. There you go. You probably didn't see that, but there was a wrinkle there. If you need to move a little bit that way, do one of them moves. Nice. Just snugs it up. I'm going to cut this first, hoping it makes the door area easier. All right, I got this thing tucked in the corner. I want to cut that and then have it go under that trim. That's the plan. So you cut it high to the end of the trim. And then follow the trim up. Yep, I'm too far out. I really messed that up. All right, let's get this door open. Oh man, carpet's gonna take care of that. All right, so let me just show you this real quick. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it beats paying someone $700. I don't know what they would charge, but I bet the guys that do this every day, professional flooring guys, probably laughing their butt off watching this. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's pretty sad right there. I have a gap right there. That's terrible. That's a huge no-no. I don't know if I could pull it enough. There's where I'm talking, right there. You paint that gray, everything will disappear. It's not perfect, but it's satisfactory. Trim will cover that. Now I might pull. See, I don't need much pull. Look at that. Fixed. Now you check the other end. So I could even pull that more. The trim is going to go right down here. So that's one good reason to remove the trim. It gives you versatility. Over by the tub area, it's opened up a good bit, but trim will still catch it. Here's all along the tub base. Quarter round will cover it. Let me show you this. Since I just pulled the vinyl in that direction, it tightened up this corner. So I have to trim that now. I just fold against the wall and trim a little sliver out of that, if I can. Nice. I want to try to tuck that underneath here. Now when I set these doors, when I hung the doors, I left it a little bit high, just for the sheet. It makes things so much easier when you're remodeling a whole home. Also, I'd like to point out, vinyl flooring over time shrinks. That's another reason you want to remove your trim. You got more room for shrinkage before it comes up and does that curl nonsense. Hate that. All right, this all looks good here. Here's all along where the vanity goes. Now you could make a mistake there because the vanity is going to cover it. And then we come on down here, down along behind the toilet. Trim will cover all that. Now we want to cut the hole for the toilet. So this ain't too hard to find. Here's the indentation. Also, toilets are 12 inches from the rough opening. That's a finished floor, so about 11. So you can be sure on where it is here, and you could measure over here before you took the toilet off. However, it's pretty simple stuff. And then you just cut it. All right. We want to be on this side of the flange. So I'm going to find that edge and follow it. Just as long as we're in this big gully here, that's all you need, you know? Just cut it. Yeah, just cut it, right? And if you mess up, wow, not a good day. That's perfect. There's where your bolts are. They come up. Wax ring. Seal. Perfect. Here's an overview before we set the toilet. Look, I've got a sweep already. I've got the toilet outside. It's pretty clean. I'm going to give it a good pressure wash. I've got a couple different style seals, and this one here showed up on my supply trailer. No clue where it came from, but that's a good thing. I'll be able to demonstrate the differences. Each kit supplied with the bolts. This one here is pretty cool. So this style is new to me. I've never used it before. Did a little bit of research. And if your flange is above the floor, sitting right on the floor, and sticks up just a little bit, you just use this piece right on there. And that's all you need. However, if your flush with the floor or 1/4 inch down, you install this on your bolts and then this over top. And if you're more than 3/4 inch down, you buy another one of these and it's stackable. So if you have tile, and this is squishy. So that's your seal right there. Compression. Same here. Compression. Now I've seen some videos where folks take their toilet off to inspect this and they get all bent out of shape because the glue has separated here. However, I think they're overthinking it because the glue is just there just to hold the unit in place. In other words, it's compressed. So this is a seal compressed against this one. The same on the bottom there, and compressed against this one. It doesn't matter about the glue. There's your compression fit. I don't think I need to be that high. And later, I'll actually demonstrate with a dry fit with the toilet to see what I need. So, we'll move on to this one. This one here, I purposely bought this for certain scenarios, such as what I'm doing right now. Let's say you buy a home and your wax ring is leaking, but you know you're going to put flooring in later. So you take it off, clean the wax ring, install this. Then 6 months down the road, you're going to redo the flooring. You take this off, there's no mess, and then I use a wax ring. Wax ring is what I normally use, but this I would put back in my supply trailer for the next job. It's reusable. This one's reusable as well. I just haven't used it. So the issue with this is waterproof on the outside. However, if you scar the screws or scar any area, water will infiltrate the sponge. Well, it becomes like a sponge, saturated with liquid, and then it fails. So be extra careful when putting your bolts through, and I think it's a good unit. And look at the thickness. This actually does what this does all in one unit. Let me demonstrate with a Folger canister. If you have a rocking toilet, when it rocks this way and then rocks back, it stays sealed. It's under compression. That's sealed continuously. Where wax, once you rock, the wax stays down and then the leak occurs. And this one here, I would say, is not as sufficient in rocking. It only goes so far, where this one has a lot greater distance. All right, so now I'll demonstrate a dry fit to see what I need. I'll start with the single layer. So there's no bolts in there. We're just going to line them up with the holes. And what you want to feel is a connection between that and the base. You want it to actually be off the floor, so you have room for compression. So I don't feel any sponge action, compression, so I need the spacer. However, with wax or the green one, they would both work first time around. Now we should feel a good compression. That's nice. See how it rolls just a little? Then when you pull the bolts down, it seals tight. So you've got a slot here with a wide area. Just tilt that in there. You see how you can turn it? You want to turn it after you get it in there? Just like that. Straight over into that wax. See, you don't need to clean all the wax off. It helps hold things. Same on this side. Turn it. That's so it won't pull out. It won't pull out anyway. It's just a wider base for strength. Then you got these little plastic things that slide over. So you get it all the way down and then hold it and pull tight. And that keeps the stud straight up for easy alignment. do both sides. You want to be the same distance from the wall. So you can adjust this way back here. And you don't want to be near that wide open. So that's a little bit crooked. So you can bring it back. You can take a measurement from the wall to have it perfect. So then your toilet is in line with the room, the wall. So spongy down, right over top. Nice. Same with this. Now we're ready to drop the toilet. So what I do is I line this side up first and keep it upward so you can see on that side. All right, look at that. So it's got, say, 1/8 of an inch or a quarter to squeeze down. It's not a whole lot, but it's just enough. All right. Well, we'll try it. I like plastic against porcelain, as long as your washer is smaller than that. And then the caps. These caps are off an old toilet I trashed. I saved them just for this. This house didn't have any. And I don't believe this is the right one. They don't snap on, but it just sits there. So you get your bolt snugged up on both sides and then snug it down. Do not over tighten. You could crack the porcelain. Also, just before snugging the bolts, you can move this either way just a little bit to line it straight up with the wall. Always good to check for any rock to ensure your bolts are holding and there's not pulling through. Water supply line, you want to have this straight on as you snug it up. Makes a proper seal. And then when you get ready to tighten it, don't let this one turn. Hand tight is sufficient. However, I give it just a little boost. All right, time for the water. Benefit of this home, below this area is an open air basement, so more than likely I would see a leak down there before up here. Lastly, I'd like to share, you've seen I did not glue this product to the floor. I never do, never had any issue, and if you're doing a large room, like here, you'll see a little bit of wrinkling, but after a month lapse, the wrinkles will smooth right out and lay flat. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Hope this has helped someone. And in the next video, I'll share the installation of the new vanity, faucet, mirror, possibly moving the light,